All right, all right. I can't wear more than, how many hats can I wear at the same time? Various swag or, I like the glasses, so I think it's sticking. How you doing, Steve? Great to see you again this year.
Yeah, good to see you too, man.
Yeah, that's great. And then Zach was here yesterday, sharing some great stuff and been following the whole event, tweeting in real time. So thanks for that, Zach. The shake.
Of course,
All
yeah.
right. So I'm excited for this session. Like we had talked about, today is a little bit, if you might notice, a little bit more SLD discussions, right? We just had stars. Now we're talking about Impervious on ETH and Dot Record. So this is going to be a great one. Everybody wants these glasses. We actually send them all around the world. I think encrypted. Where are your glasses at, man? I think he's in here. Anyways, but we got a lot to cover today. I think it's gonna be two parts, right, Steve? You got the Impervious side, and then the Dot Records within Impervious from Zach. So I'm gonna pop off, and I'll let you two take it from here.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Bye, Mike. Yeah, so as Mike just said, we're going to split this up. So I think Zach is going to tell us about his journey with Dot Records and what he's done so far, what he has in store, and pretty much anything he wants to talk about. And then I will swoop in and discuss this release that we launched officially today. Take it away. I'm going to mute myself.
All right, I'll keep an eye on the time so I don't run too long and give you enough time to fill in on the cool updates from the registry. But okay, yeah, so I have been working on Dot Records, a namespace that uses the Impervious registry protocol. It is currently the top selling name on Impervious, and like a nice a test case for what has worked and how to use some of the features that Impervious registry offers. So Dot Records is a music-centric namespace. It's marketed towards the crypto music community. And I think that piece of it is really important to highlight, and part of why it's had early success so far. It starts with this music community that exists in the crypto space, and acts as a naming layer for those people, for these artists, these fans, these collectors, which is a little bit different than the traditional domain name approach of starting with like a really aesthetically beautiful name and then trying to build a brand and audience around it. And so that sort of community-centric approach has driven a lot of the work that I've done and the ways that I've taken advantage of the Impervious features. So what's really cool about the Impervious registry is the ways that you can customize a namespace for your purpose. So looking at Dot Records through this music-centric lens, sort of from inception to today, we've taken the approach of customizing the namespace for this group of users on Ethereum that are kind of using different music applications, minting songs, playing around with collecting songs, and engaging with that sort of ecosystem. So that kind of starts with the name reservation process. Impervious allows you to reserve names that can be claimed by specific Ethereum addresses. And so we started by saying anybody that had minted a song on this specific platform called Catalog has their username reserved as a subdomain of Dot Records. And this was a way to thank those people as being active participants in this ecosystem, to a way to prevent squatting on names from people who are highly engaged in this ecosystem. We also reserved a bunch of other names too, less as kind of a thank you, but more as a way to prevent squatting. And so these were kind of like high profile record label names: Atlantic.Records, Columbia.Records, etc. The reservation system allows for a lot of flexibility and a way to reward certain people, to reserve names for certain people, and also kind of to circumvent some squatting and potential like trademark issues. Our reservation system, .records, is largely inspired by Handshake's reservation system. And so there's a lot of lessons there and a lot of similarities. Moving on from the reservation system to the ownership of .records itself, today that's just a standard EOA address, but has the ability to be owned by some sort of multisig or DAO that allows for the music community to take ownership of this registry in the future. And a lot of this is sort of leaning into that community, allowing them to have a naming and identity layer that serves them, but also that allows them to sort of control that system rather than have this sort of generalized system like ENS or something else that doesn't necessarily focus on or prioritize their needs. One of the more recent things that we have built off the backs of a recent Impervious feature is our own custom metadata server. So you can add different kinds of metadata to the .records, to your .records domain. And one of those things that you can add is a song, is a piece of music that when you go to one of our websites, when you go to OpenSea or when you go to your wallet, will play that music. And so this is a very playful but also like useful way to lean into music-centric tooling in ways that ENS has kind of ignored. So the music community really wants this kind of feature in ENS, but that hasn't been prioritized. One of the benefits of a community namespace is that we can make that a priority. And so the first piece of like custom metadata was animation URLs. It is this ability to add audio or visual media to your domain in a way that lets you have sort of like a profile record in the same way you might have a profile picture. Conversations around the metadata have evolved with the community, with some people in the music community wanting certain like rights standards or royalty standards built into the .records metadata. And so as the community sort of leans in, and we can continue to make the .records namespace more tailored to what is useful for music and music kind of identity. The whole kind of thesis of .records as a community namespace is to be as custom to what music identity looks like, which is going to look different than identity in other places. So continuing to build sort of in this direction alongside artists and projects in the space, and lean on the flexibility of Impervious to sort of chart our own path and be our own namespace. So I would encourage anybody who is thinking about using Impervious or thinking about launching a namespace to think about what the audience is, and how you can customize your own features for reserving, distributing names, for owning the registry, all of these pieces to sort of map to that audience. I think .stars, who spoke recently right before us, is also kind of like falling into this community namespace concept. And I think that we'll just see more namespaces that map to communities in this way. And so that's kind of been the vision and the goal for records so far. And we will continue to build out different tools and excited to see kind of where Impervious takes it, and looking forward to kind of charting that path together.
Awesome. So really quick, I think somebody, I don't know if it was in the chat or Mike asked if you wanted to show like a screen for like the warehouse or like anything, not to put you on the spot right now, because if you're not ready right now, I can start doing my thing and you can queue it up, or totally up to you.
Why don't you start, and
Okay.
I can think about the right thing to screen share.
Yeah,
afterwards.
sounds good. All right. So as Zach just mentioned, let me screen share this thing and see if this works. Holy Lord. Oh shit. I did not expect that many options. Oh my God. Sure. Did somebody see something? Hopefully you guys see Impervious domains. I have no idea. Mike, is there a way for you to tell me if, oh, there it is. All right, cool. So yeah, let's look at this. All right, so this is the new version of Impervious Domains as of this morning, I think is when we launched it. And it looks slightly different. I mean, the functionalities, by and large, the things that are different I'm going to highlight, but for the most part, it still breaks down into two big features. One is being able to actually register domains, which is obviously the use case for users, and then being able to stake domains, which we'll get into in a second, which is the use case for actual TLD owners. One really cool thing, well, hopefully my mouse is showing up. So we have kind of these, we'll call them collections, but I mean, really right now, the collection's primarily just for the TLD. So we'll go to records right now since we just talked about it with Zach. So what he was describing with the metadata is you can customize what you're looking at right here. So your TLD will have basically this dedicated landing page. And if you go up here in the docs, well, let's go there and look at it right now. It specifies how to actually specify what metadata you want to assign, whether it's your banner or your individual logo for the TLD, or like what each of the little SLD records will look like. And then obviously you can do cooler stuff like Zach was mentioning, where you can assign, like in their case, actual music to it. But that up here, the docs will tell you exactly what format you want. And basically it's just what you're going to store in IPFS. And then it will get read whenever it gets picked up in OpenSea or the other marketplaces. Where am I going? There we go. All right. So one cool thing that we added in this release is what we'll call more real-time search. So as you actually start searching for stuff, the results actually happen in real time, which not like super mind-boggling, but a huge improvement over what we had previously, just because we had so many TLDs. So now at least so much quicker. It helps you figure out if you're just trying to find cool stuff. Like I unfortunately like way too many of these stupid hacks, and so I find myself.
We only see your homepage.
Oh no!
We can't see it. I don't know if you just shared a tab. Maybe you just shared a tab, not a screen.
Hold on. Oh, has it been on the homepage the whole time? Hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all good.
I think maybe the sharing you set was just a tab or something. So
I did window, but let's try this again. Can you see that now or no?
I see. Yeah, the homepage seems. But let's just test.
I don't know why it's stuck on. I don't know why it's stuck on the homepage. Here, let me just fire up.
Let me try a whole new window. Same tab or screen? I don't know.
Let's try this. Let's see. Let's launch the new window, so we'll see if that helps anything.
Sorry about this, buddy.
No, it's all good. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know if that's picking it up or not.
I mean, it's the same screen, but maybe there's a choice when you share screen to share tab, to share Chrome, to share screen.
Yeah, I mean, I created a. Hold on. Just go, yeah. Try this.
There we go.
Oh, wait, it's not letting me. For some reason, it's not letting me share the entire screen. There we go. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, I
We
see
can
you
see.
typing in
All
the
right, there we go. All
deck again.
right, so just the thing I was showing a second ago is that showing up?
Now I see OpenSea.
Oh,
Yeah,
this is
or
records.
Impervious
This is the,
magazine. Sorry, it does look
yeah, yeah.
like OpenSea glasses.
No, it's
Yeah,
all good. So
now
this
I see.
is the customized landing page. So this is the one for dot records. And what I was describing but wasn't making sense because you guys couldn't see it is if you go up to the docs, it will actually explain what you need to put as far as the metadata so you can customize your landing page. So you can customize your actual icons and the banner image. And so this will be like for a given what we're calling collection, but really it's primarily just for the TLD. So what I was talking about with the search is now there actually are much more like real-time results instead of having to search and then for the actual thing. And so like I was talking about, I get way too excited about these dumb domain hacks, especially with .f, just because there's a lot of not safe for work words that you can do with .f. So whenever I get bored, I start playing with those. All right, so the thing that's really exciting about this particular release is it's a lot more like what you would expect for Web 2 type functionality, right? So we actually have shopping cart. So if anybody's actually tried to register these things in the past or with ENS, it's somewhat painful because you have to do one at a time and you have to go through this commit and then finally actual registration process. So as part of this on the back end for TLD owners, you now have the option of, so if you look in these results, you have these little buy now labels. All that means is that those TLDs have upgraded their controller so that now you don't have to do the commit and register process. So it's just one step, meaning we can easily just add them and then I can immediately just pay with credit card in one transaction, even if you don't upgrade the controller. And so this is just for TLD owners. So let me go back and do one where, da, da, da. So if my card has TLDs that are mixed, so like forever, that's going to change today probably, where it won't require commitment anymore. But if you have a mix, you'll see this little notice that says some of the names require a commit because just as a byproduct of the way ENS originally or still works, is you have to submit a commit to basically, it's essentially to prevent front running. But for a lot of our TLDs, since they're not that popular, it's really it's a terrible user experience. So the security is not really the priority at this point. And you can obviously go back to using the commit process if you need it at some point. So I mean, ideally, .records gets huge and then front running does become an issue, in which case we could easily put it back in. But for right now, since we're not having to really worry about that, the additional step is a real pain and makes it more complicated to actually register. So anyway, this little notice just tells you that you do have to pay the commit fee with ETH, which we're also going to be fixing in a future update so that if you want to pay with card, even for the committed TLDs, you can. But the easiest way to eliminate that right now is just have straight TLDs that don't have the commit, that just have the buy now option. I'm not going to go through the card just because unfortunately you'll see my credit card, but I promise you it's just what you would expect as far as just putting in your credit card and then poof. And we launched on Twitter a quick demo video so you can see that it's just point and click some buttons, put in your credit card information, and then hooray, you now have these domains in your wallet. The other big thing is, well, the way all this works is we now, as I mentioned, have bulk registrations. So instead of having to go one, do the commit, then do the registration, then do another one, then do the commit, then do the registration, you can all do it in one huge batch. And like I said a second ago, if all the TLDs you're interested in have upgraded and no longer have the commit process, you can just buy them all at once and not have to worry about anything. It's just one step. Just to go back, since this might be the first time some of you have even seen any of this, some of the cool things, well, obviously if you're a TLD owner, you go through the process of actually staking the TLD. I don't know if we need to link, there's a step-by-step guide that we published like weeks or months ago. It's not a difficult process, but if you type in, I don't have one then I'm going to stake right this second, so I can't go through the steps, but it's pretty straightforward. You just put in your TLD string, you'll then have to transfer it, and I think there's like 5 or 6 steps, but the only real time lag is just if you have to transfer it to a different address, then it's just the time it takes for that to happen in Handshake, which I forget how many days that is. But then you have to obviously do the finalize once you've finished, once the time has elapsed or the number of epochs has passed. Let's see. All right. So the other thing that's cool that I don't know that we've touched on is, or Zach mentioned it a little bit earlier when he was talking about eventually transitioning the .records TLD. What's cool about the previous release, in addition to all the metadata, or maybe it was the previous release, is you can actually mint your TLD. So you can have essentially an NFT that represents what I like to think of as like the revenue stream for your TLD. So if you like minted .www, for instance, then you could easily sell that NFT to somebody, and then that person that's buying that will now, for all intents and purposes, be the owner of the money that TLD is generating for whoever owns that NFT. And so basically then just the money is going to the address associated with the NFT. And so when you transfer the NFT, you're basically it's essentially like selling a business. And so you have significantly more liquidity now in terms of what you can actually do with this TLD versus if it was just staked and then you're just like, well, cool, now I'm beholden to this forever. The great thing about being able to NFT just the TLD itself is now you actually have more options as far as what you can do with these assets.
Steve, is that just for locked TLDs?
It is, yeah. Just primarily because if it's not locked, then you have that potential issue where the person that owns the NFT doesn't have the assurance that they're not going to get rugged, right? So but once it's locked, the TLD on the Handshake side is at the community address basically, and then the NFT is then just associated with whoever the owner was that staked it originally. And then whenever you sell the NFT, then that ownership changes to the owner of the NFT. Does that make sense?
Yep, it makes sense.
I don't know what time. Oh, yeah, we still have. Oh, did you want to show something, or you may keep going, or do you want to talk? I don't know if we have questions or not. I haven't been checking if there's Q&A.
I haven't been checking either. One thing that I wanted to comment on in regards to the new feature for credit card purchases is I have a great use case for that in .records, because a large record label who I won't name reached out about wanting to acquire some .records domains, but not having a plan for an internal Ethereum wallet or using Ether. And so being able to go through a checkout process just with credit card allows sort of an audience like that, some sort of corporate audience that doesn't have crypto to be able to acquire domains in that way.
Yeah, and so we have we've had discussions internally about if you even need a wallet, because there's a way for us to not even require a wallet, like for the actual, but to me especially, and basically internally, that kind of goes against the ethos of Impervious. Like the whole idea is that having a wallet, like the whole point of all this is to be non-custodial, and so just having a wallet is still a very low barrier to entry. Like as long as you can download MetaMask, like to your point, you don't have to actually have ETH now. Like, so you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to acquire any actual coin. Just having the wallet is all you need. And then as long as you have a credit card or a debit card, then you're good to go. As far as the only thing that might happen is it's just like any other, like with Stripe or whatever, you might have to verify that this card is actually associated with whatever address information or whatever, but that's just for fraud prevention on the back end. But yeah, to your point, it should be very much accessible to people that want to put their toe in crypto, but don't necessarily want to go head first. Mike, I don't know if we want to handle these Q&As or if Mike was going to come in and tell us. What did he just say? There are a bunch of, all right, well then let's look.
I can help.
So someone asked, why doesn't records.html HNS.2 resolve anywhere. So
I'm not. Does HNS2 even still work?
so regardless, the
Oh, I
question
think
is
on
like
the
the
actual
bare
TL
TLD.
on the TLD, bare TLD, I guess.
The bare TLD is not going to resolve. It points to, and it points only to the Impervious contract. So
Yeah.
there's a number of .records domains that you can check out if you want to explore the namespace, but that bare TLD is not going to be one of them. So catalog.records is a name that you could check out. Profile.records is one of our names that has some tools that you can use for domain owners. Warehouse .records should work as well.
Love Warehouse.
And Zora.records, there's a few that you can go to, but not the bare TLD.
Yeah, I'm just gonna share
And
it.
just really quick, and that's going to
This
apply
is a
to
record site, right?
the other TLDs also.
Really well done, Zach. I was hoping I'll share it for you because I think it's worth sharing. It's really nice. Records.domains is the Web 2 domain. But yeah, Warehouse is here and minted, and he's got the reserved list. So, and it also searches directly to Impervious from the site. So it's I'll just do that really quickly, but it's really well done. Okay, but yeah. So I guess the basically short answer is you can't host on the bare TLD in this system as of now.
Yeah, well, I mean, just moving forward, it's because like with HIP 5, it points to the, like what Zach was saying, it points to the actual Ethereum contract address.
Okay. I mean, do you want to pick them or you want me to pick them? There's like 5.
Oh, you go for it, man. I'll let you can pick.
Okay, I just don't know if you're the beacon. I mean, I know you're not talking about beacon today, but Mikhail's asking about beacon. Yes.
So the future is a hard question to answer. I mean, we've got big plans for it. I don't know what the timeline of that's going to be, just because we have been focusing more on these releases for Impervious domains. I probably am not allowed to say what we're planning on doing with it right this second, just because I'm going to get in trouble. Because
well, that's why I didn't know these questions. But
I don't know if this is like the thing that I think we're going to do. I don't know if it's like a 3-week thing or a 3-month thing or 3-year thing. So yeah, but the short answer is we have big plans for Beacon. We're not going to abandon Beacon, but I don't know what the timeline is for the new features that we're going to roll out with it.
Encrypt is suggesting about this for payments with cards on commit, but I think you said you're already working on a solution for commit.
Yeah, we already have a solution for the commit, and hopefully a lot of the TLDs will upgrade their controller so that they don't have the commit anymore, in which case we don't have to worry about it. But yeah.
I'm not sure if you know what this one means.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know what CroPay is.
I think that means crypto.com, CRO, and I guess they have some centralized payment solution that's they're an Cosmos ecosystem. But Bogdan, maybe you could share with Steve later. Probably,
yeah, send me an email, Steve at impervious.com.
Yeah. Yep. So Steve at impervious.com is his domain. And then Alex asks, stake with Impervious, burn address, can't receive sales. I don't know if you know.
That's not true. So I don't know what that means. Like the only thing that the burn address does is it gives end users assurances that I'm going to play nice, but that something bad doesn't happen to that TLD. It has nothing to do with being able to get SLD
if
sales.
Somebody loses their wallet keys, but it should be associated to the Ethereum wallet.
It's associated with the Ethereum wallet address.
Yeah,
right? The private key for your
Handshake. The payments will be ETH. So as long as you still have access to the wallet that you used for staking, of course, if you lose your keys to your ETH wallet, the sales will go there. But
they'll still go there. You won't be able to access it. And you wouldn't also be able to. I'm trying to think if in that case, if you had already minted your TLD and you had it listed, that's one way. But you wouldn't be able to access the money you got off the sale. So never mind. But yeah, as long as you don't lose as long as you still have access to your wallet. you're good.
The point of the burn address, is just so that you can't rug your SLD customers, like
Yep.
you could sell the SLD, TLD on Namebase, right? So say you staked it on Impervious, and then you want to flip the TLD on Namebase, and then the guy changes the name server or whatever DNS records, and then all those are rugged because they actually do work in Beacon or their Handshake SLDs. But if somebody just on a TLD breaks it, right, then all those people will be rugged. So the burn address is to build trust to the customer of the SLD to not have the TLD owner, break the connection. So that's the point of the burn address. But the burn address doesn't mean you don't have it anymore, but it's connected to the ETH address. It's no
Yeah.
longer really in HNS. Okay, this is going for Zach. For records domain, how do you think about onboarding new users? I mean, you had some pretty exciting news about some big record label that you were just mentioning, but I don't know if you want to answer Kiru here.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think that's Kiru, who's an active community member of Dot Records.
Nice. Great.
I think the goal is to continue to ingrain ourselves in the Ethereum music community primarily, and to partner with different projects in the space to serve as a naming and identity layer. So there's one project right now that we're speaking to about a potential collaboration, sort of along the same lines as like the Nouns naming service that spoke earlier, where they became like a username for a bunch of applications. Um, that is one way to integrate with some of these apps and be useful to the music ecosystem. And then separately, also on the DNS side, being able to work with some of these projects to serve as a user-owned domain for places where artists might sell their music. And so there's a bunch of collaborations we're working on right now that should provide some value to the artist community and hopefully spur some more adoption.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I shared records.domain. Okay, we have 5 minutes. Still got time. There's some questions coming in, and I put some buffer ones or my own. Okay, so Big Black Crypto, nice.bnb. What will the NFT sit in the user's wallet? So I'm
Yes.
assuming that's the SLD. I know we have TLDs, SLDs.
I think he's referring to like if you mint the NFT. So if you have once you stake a TLD and you lock it, if you then mint it, like I was talking about earlier, and you actually have an NFT that represents like your ownership of the TLD, then yes, that will sit in the wallet that you used to stake it originally. And then obviously you can transfer it around once you have the NFT. And then basically the ownership of the way to think of it is the ownership of like the revenue that you're generating for that TLD is associated with that NFT. So once that NFT goes to another address, that new address is the one that's going to be receiving those payments whenever you log in to claim whatever revenue you generated from the registrations. But yes, it's in your wallet, and you can then sell it on OpenSea or any other marketplace.
Yeah, so I know everyone loves OpenSea. Everyone's always going crazy about OpenSea. So this is OpenSea. So you can buy Bad Boy Records, which is a pretty big one. I mean,
Mike, can you click on the image?
Where does the time go?
We'll play when you click on the image. That's where the
Where does the time go? Let me.
Look at all those hearts.
Where does the time go? Where's the time go? Where does the time
you can
go?
click out anywhere. Yeah.
All right, but yeah, it's. I know everyone in HNS always says, "I want OpenSea." So this is OpenSea. It's Dot Records, Bad Boy Records, 0.16 ETH, in Impervious domains, right? And it's a platform, so people can share. Press F, right? So the .f owner staked it onto the Impervious, and then a customer or use NFT bought press.f, and and listed on OpenSea. So it's right here. So I mean, I know a lot of people feel like, Impervious been around. It's not a year. You guys, you've been around earlier, but the Impervious domains launched, I think, after HandyCon. It was like summer.
Yeah,
last
like in August or September. Yeah.
If you click on the link that I posted in the main chat, this is actually Kiru's .records NFT. Maybe Mike, you could screen share.
Okay.
We stumbled on a sort of accidental use case where instead of including the music, it looks like he changed it actually. It looks like he changed it. It used to show actually a web page inside the NFT that had a playlist of songs, and so it doesn't anymore. He must have just done that today. But we are playing around with some like really really interesting dynamic displays of what you can do in .records besides just a basic song. There's a lot more that I think we can do there, and so we'll be sharing that as we figure out exactly how to get how to help people do more dynamic things with the metadata of their NFT.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, it's really cool to see. Okay, we got 2 minutes. Let's see. I think I did see more Q&A coming. Oh, let me. Well, I had some myself. So I think you mentioned, Steve, about updating controllers. So I have Stake 2.
Mhm.
One. So we need to I haven't, as of what, today then? I've updated once or twice already, but it seems like
Well, so the new one is primarily you want to upgrade today if you want your TLD to not have the commit register process. So it just is a one-step registration, and the thought there is that hopefully that will make it much easier for people to register on your TLD, which will then hopefully generate more registrations for you.
Okay. And I'm just trying to break it down as simple as possible because some people's questions make me feel like they're not getting it. So you have a TLD on Handshake, like Namebase or Bob or whatever. You can move it to Ethereum without even just updating the records. And then burn address, which basically means it's locked. So you or nobody else, but it's still connected to your Ethereum. Then you're basically fully on Ethereum. Okay. And then people buy it on impervious.domains. If you want to use credit card, you got to upgrade the contract. Like, I'm not so good on Ethereum, but you can upgrade as a TLD owner, but you got to pay a gas fee, a small gas fee. But, I don't have so much ETH, honestly. But then you can upgrade. Then those new rules that Impervious has in the contract can be utilized by that TLD. I hope I got it. I hope people are understanding. And there is a staking fee. I don't know. I think you've dropped the fee. I paid higher when I did it, but it's what's the fee now?
I think right. Oh, I think we might have changed it just recently, so I need to double check. It was 100. I think it came down, but it's not going to come down too low just because to be totally honest, not all TLDs should be doing this, right? Like what Zach was saying earlier, if you don't have like a pretty established idea in your mind as to like what community would be interested in registering for your TLD, it's not a good idea to do this. And I also very much differ I haven't been paying attention to some of those sessions, but I do know that a lot of people are of the other opinion that every single one of these TLDs should be staked and we should just be everything, I'm a hammer and everything's a nail, and I don't agree with that. And so I would imagine that our staking fee is going to at least be something so that not everyone is just staking, because ideally what we really want is TLDs like Zach's where people are actively promoting them and there's a very clear use case and we're trying to build a community and it's not just a money grab of like, let's just put everything in the system and just hope something sticks. Like we very much want people to have some thought about what they're doing as far as how they're marketing them.
Okay, sure. I feel like we're at time almost.
And yes, the answer to that question, Nathan, is yes. So the controller is somewhat separate. Like you're still attached to that TLD. It's just
Yeah,
I know this
I
gets
think
complicated. It's just
it gets
it's locked in the Handshake world, but all the
it's
controllers and everything else
basically
is in the Ethereum world.
you're completely in Ethereum almost, and
Yeah.
your everything is connected to your Ethereum wallet, like your MetaMask for some people. But MetaMask is not your Ethereum wallet, but I know most people are using MetaMask, right? So that means you got to do everything in MetaMask or an Ethereum wallet, right?
Yep.
The amazing thing is you're equal to unstoppable domains. You're equal to ENS domains. As a Handshake TLD owner, maybe the only small difference is you're within the Impervious ecosystem under Impervious umbrella like .records, right? So you're inside of their smart contract bridging through HIP5 on a HNS to Ethereum, and then allowing people to mint with credit cards now as of today, and then listing on OpenSea or other, Blur, I guess it could work, or wherever, right? And you're in the Ethereum ecosystem, equal to the ENS domains under the Impervious umbrella. But you're operating through upgrading is an Ethereum thing, so you do it in MetaMask, and then the burn address, the renewals are done, but anyone can renew. So Impervious will do it, you can do it, random people can do it, the customer can do it, or anybody can do it. So I hope that makes sense, but we're at time. But I just want to make sure people understand what this means. I hope that's clear.
Just really quick. So Nathan,
clear.
I'm seeing in the chat, just send me an email, Nathan, steve@impervious.com, and I can explain it better offline.
Yeah, and then Zach says it's true. Yeah, so it's a platform. So Impervious gets a commission as a platform of 20% of sales of the SLDs, and there's also other. Honestly, there's a lot more to talk about. But I mean, I think this is hopefully going to get people down that rabbit hole. And like Steve says, quality. And Zach spent a lot of time preparing for his launch of .records. He didn't just shoot it up and then hope people bought. He did a reserve list. He contacted people, right? He prepared some Twitter and some other content. So anyway, there's so much to talk about. Well, actually, it might be related to the next couple sessions. The next is a panel about with ClayCollins.c, Richard. So we got a really good panel about SLD sales right after this. This is what today's theme is about. But I just want to thank Steve and Zach again for sharing experiences and knowledge. So thank you so much. And we're a little bit
Thanks
over
for having
time,
us.
but I think it was.
And thank you, Zach, for giving us your firsthand account of your experience with .records.
Of course, happy
Yeah,
to.
keep it
Thanks,
up.
guys.
Keep building. Thanks.